Boom. Do you have a Twitter? I do. It's in the panels below the stream. Lazy man? No, it's not lazy. It's fucking YouTube system is poo. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say that I'm live on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. All right. Welcome, everybody, to my driver ratings for the 2026 Formula 1 Monaco Grand Prix. If you don't know, every single Monday after a Grand Prix weekend, we hop on the stream, we review the race highlights, we listen to what the drivers had to say, we look through Discord with all the news and memes, we look at F1 Fantasy, F1 Predict, and then we end the stream on Twitch and YouTube by rating the drivers. Now, we go through in reverse finishing order, and talk about their performances. We'll be rating solely the performances in qualifying and the race, and rating them out of 10. There'll be a poll and chat for you guys to vote on. Let's get straight into it today. First off, we have got, who finished in last, Max Verstappen. Poll is up. Poll is up. Now, this is how the poll is going to look on the screen. All you need to do is type in Twitch chat the number that you want to rate him out of 10, and it'll pop up on the poll. So do exactly that. So if you watch on YouTube, come join us on Twitch. So, Max, obviously didn't start the race, but let's talk about qualifying. In qualifying, he qualified P2. Was only a few milliseconds off of Kimi. He outqualified Lewis. He outqualified Charles. He outqualified his teammate by 4/10. He outqualified George Russell and both McLarens. I guess McLarens weren't that impressive to beat. But yeah, he outqualified everyone he needed to. Could he maybe got pole? Maybe. I think he made a little mistake on his lap. But honestly, getting P2 is great in itself. However, in the race, awful race start. You know, at this point, I'm starting to think, is it a Max problem? How is he having so many problems? Is he just not adapting to the race start, or is he just getting very, very unlucky? But didn't start the race, didn't complete the race. So my question is this an inconclusive? Is this an inconclusive because he didn't do the race? Or do we kind of base these retirees, because there's a lot of them, off of their qualifying? Because in Monaco, qualifying is the most important thing. If nothing happened in the race, qualifying is important. And usually in the past, when I've done ratings for Monaco, I take qualifying hugely into account. So we could do that with Max, or we could give him an inconclusive because he didn't do the race. So we didn't see how he would adapt to, you know, driving against people, what his race pace looked like. So part of me is like, it kind of has to be an inconclusive. I think it has to be an inconclusive because he didn't do a single lap. He didn't do a single fucking lap. I think it has to be an inconclusive. But, you know, if I was rating him based off of qualifying, I mean, it's a 9, right? It's a 9, 9.5, like, amazing qualifying. I think he outperformed the car. I think he should have been behind the Ferraris. So for him to be on the second row, almost beating Kimi, I probably would have given him 9, 9.5. But the race, again, like, do I drop rating down for him because it's his problem, or is it a car problem? Either way, we didn't see him in the race. It's going to be an inconclusive from me. You guys, though, are giving him a 7 out of 10. Okay, quite low considering how well he didn't qualify, but maybe you're just kind of doing a rating based off the weekend as a whole. Fair. Okay, next up, we move on to another driver who barely even did the race. We've got Valtteri Bottas. What do you rate Bottas this weekend out of 10? Oh yeah, what are you guys saying about Max, actually? 7, his car was shot. It seemed like he had a really good reaction, and then his car just shut the bed. Hard to say Monaco. Yeah, what's up, Al, Katrin, Louisa, Eliban, Soul, I think that's what the follows. By the way, Katrin, first time typing in chat, but subbed earlier. I appreciate that. Okay, Bottas in qualifying. Qualified P20 ahead of both Aston Martins, but 5/10 down on his teammate again. Then, in the race, what even happened to him? He DNF'd on lap 15. Car issues, brake issues. Yeah, I think we'll give an inconclusive just like Max, because, I mean, he sucks in quali, and then he wasn't able to really show himself in the race compared to everyone else. I don't know. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt this week. Usually we rate Bottas quite low because he's just, like, been mid in comparison. Did I trim my beard today, by the way? I not trimmed, did I? I think I did. I can't remember now. I think we'll give Bottas a inconclusive because he was having issues all weekend. He had issues in the race. He didn't retire. He retired quite early on. We'll give him an inconclusive. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Kalik should fire his ass already. You reckon they were having brake issues all weekend? Yeah. In comparison to Perez was bad. If he had finished the race in last, he would have got a fucking low rating, that's for sure. Diggity, thank you for the follow on the stream. I majority you guys saying 2 or 3. That is quite accurate if we were rating his weekend. Next up, we have got Ollie Behrman. What do you rate Ollie Behrman's weekend out of 10? Get your votes in on the poll. Okay. So Ollie in qualified P19. He got out-qualified by his teammate by 1/10. I believe he made a mistake on his final lap. He also got out-qualified by Perez. So actually, quite a stinky poo-poo weekend. Qualifying for Ollie, and that's obviously what is the main thing to look at for Monaco. And then in the race, he did 27 laps. So not a lot of the Grand Prix, but probably enough to give him a rating. But what was the cause of his retirement again? What was the cause of his retirement? Sup, idiot? Welcome to the stream. What was the cause of retirement? Was it just, did he just come in the pit lane? I can't remember. He hit Ocon at the start of the race. Oh, what? And that gave him damage? Really? Is that actually what affected him? No way. Wow. Well, in that case, I was already going to give him a low rating because it's qualifying. Getting out qualified by Sergio Perez is fucking disaster. But giving yourself damage. Oh, we didn't. Yes. So now I remember that. Giving yourself damage and then retiring from the race. Yikes. I think that has to be a 2 weekend. At the end of the day, didn't crash, but I think it has to be lower than a 3. You know, out qualified by your teammate. I mean, your teammate didn't do too much better than you, but out qualified by your teammate, out qualified by Sergio Perez, making contact on the first lap, and then not really doing anything, causing yourself to retire from a race that would have got you points, because look where Ocon finished. I think it's disappointing. 2 from Behrman for me. Majority of you guys saying 3 as well, which is fair, interesting. I completely forgot about that with the Haas boys. Anyways, next up, another driver who DNF'd. We've got Lando Norris. What do we rate Lando's weekend out of 10? Yeah, Lando had a bit of a shit show of a weekend. Now, qualifying. He qualified behind his teammate by 1/10. Also got qualified, obviously, by all the big boys. Yeah, he was worst of the big boys this weekend. At least he was 5/10 ahead of Gasly. Yay. But yeah, disappointing qualifying from Lando. I would have liked to see more from him. I just don't think that McLaren was on the same pace as the other teams. But yeah, not getting out qualified with your teammate isn't great. And then in the race, what happened in the race again? In the race, I think he was... yeah, chilling behind Piastri. Oh, he got overtaken by Gasly off the start. Yes, he got overtaken by Gasly off the start, was stuck behind Gasly, then suffered battery issues, and then retired from the race. So, yeah, look, in the end, where Lando finished in the race, outside the points, retired, wasn't his fault. But I think I'm going to have to give him a low rating here. He did 43 laps, which is over half the Grand Prix. We got to see his pace, and yeah, at the end of the day, a 10th behind his teammate. At least he did what he needed to do, which was put the car in P7 or P8. But still, behind his teammate, maybe could have stretched more from Monaco. And then in the race, losing to Gasly off the start, getting stuck, majorly impeding his race. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. But he didn't do anything majorly wrong. So I'm gonna go with a 4, I think, for Lando. Lost push at the start, also battery issues, had to avoid Max, so Gasly overtook him. True, he did have to avoid Max off the start. True. Mighty Emerald, what is up, dude? We're on the stream. I know we don't count it, but he also crashed at the end of practice 3, so might have had an issue for quali. True. Wait, he's about Behrman, yeah. Lando got overtaken because of Max being in front. Missed full FP2. Yeah, true. He was kind of on the back foot this weekend. But yeah, I just didn't think his pace in qualifying was that great. And I don't think his pace in the race was that great either. Yeah, bit of a tough weekend for Lando. I'm going to go with a... is 4 too harsh? Or is 5 too kind? Is 4 too harsh or is 5 too kind? Because of that, I'm going to go 4.5. Majority of you saying 5 for Lando. All right, next up. Now, before we talk about him or Leclerc, I need to ask, how are we judging Lance and Charles's crashes? Are we blaming the tarmac? Because if so, are we saying it's unlucky? Or are we blaming Stroll and Leclerc for driving on the marbles? Or are we blaming the brakes? Personally, I am going to blame the tarmac because, I mean, yeah, they're both having braking issues, but they didn't crash in any other corner. They both crashed on the same corner with marbles on their tires. So I'm going to blame the tarmac. And I'm going to blame 50-50 blame. 50%, it's unlucky that the track was fucked. But at the same time, you saw the track was fucked. Leclerc himself said, I saw the marbles. I saw the marbles and I didn't think it was going to be an issue. Other drivers avoided it. And he drove over them and crashed out. So I do think I'm going to go down that route with their ratings. So let's talk about it. Stroll, in qualifying, qualified dead last. 7/10 off his teammate. Again, just at the back. Couldn't really do anything. The car sucks, but 7/10 off his teammate. And then in the race, why was he in the race before he retired? He was 8 seconds behind Alonso, ahead of Perez and Bortoletto, though. I guess maybe because he hadn't pit yet. I don't know, but yeah. Then ultimately crashed out. You know, again, pretty poor to just drive on the marbles. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know what to rate him here. I feel like behind his teammate, slow in qualifying, behind his teammate in the race, crashed out. I feel like it's gonna be a 2, right? I feel like it's gonna be a 2. It's a combination with them on the tarmac for the Leclerc not changing the damn Bramco brakes. That's genuinely shit. Callet and the FIA just ignored Perez's complaints about the tarmac. Yeah. Sure, had a nice save on lap 2 in the tunnel. Can't lie. Aston's braking issue sounds more plausible than Ferrari's. They both pit at the start of the race. Doesn't even feel fair to rate Aston Martin drivers. Yeah. I had to go 2. Behind his teammate, poo pace and crashing out, or you know, driving over the marbles, which you can see. Other drivers saw it. They avoided it. We'll go over 2 for Stroll. Majority guys saying 3. Majority guys saying 3, which means we move on to the other culprit of the tarmac. We have got Charles Leclerc. Oh. Charles. There's a lot to talk about with Charles. Starting off with qualifying, he got out-qualified by his teammate by 1/10. Now, you know, we'll talk about it more when we get to Lewis, but I do think the Ferraris had more qualifying pace in them. So for him to, first off, be in P4 isn't great, but then to be a 10th down on his teammate as well. Look, at the end of the day, he put the car where not where it should be, but like in that range. Like, he still out-qualified Hadjar, he out-qualified Russell, he out-qualified the McLaren boys. So it's not bad, it's just a 10th behind your teammate. He was kind of out of sync with his timing, and he made a mistake on his final lap. So yeah, I would say it was a pretty weak qualifying from Charles, in my opinion, given this was their opportunity to try to capitalize on starting on pole. And then in the race, pace looked pretty poo on the first stint.
It's so nuts.
Sorry. Pace looked pretty poo on the first stint, from what I remember, just having to skim through. Yeah, didn't he drop like 15 seconds behind? Yeah, he dropped like 10 seconds behind Hamilton. 15 seconds behind Hamilton, and then he clawed that back. So they kind of like switched. Like, Leclerc was poo off the start, and then Hamilton was poo on the second stint. And then it all fell to bits, man. The communication from him with his engineer was just poor as fuck. Not choosing to stay out to jump Lewis on his penalty was poor. And again, we spoke about this in the review. But I personally feel like Leclerc is the one to make that decision. Like, at the end of the day, the team is going to do what's best for the team. And if he wants to go against that and beat Lewis and jump Lewis in the pits, he needs to make that decision himself, and he didn't. And then he had to cry about it. And then drives on the marbles, which he said he saw and chose to drive on them, and then crashes out of the race. I think it was actually a pretty poor weekend from Charles. So yeah, I don't know what to rate him here. He crashed out of the race, poor communication, poo on the first stint, Positives, though, was he didn't do terrible in qualifying. He just didn't maximize. And the second stint in the race was pretty decent. So, I don't know. I'm feeling a 4, man. I'm feeling a 4, I think. It could be lower, but we can't deny the fact that, like, even though he could have done better in quali, it wasn't bad. And his race pace in the second stint was good. But I don't know. Is that too low? What are you guys saying? He decided for pole till he crashed in quali. Well, he shouldn't have crashed then. He bottled quali and the race. Cooked that, man. This is really bad form from Leclerc. Holy harsh chat. Wait, Leclerc crashed in quali? I don't remember that. Yeah, he got a puncture on his final run. I mean, he didn't get a pen. That's positive. He generally crashed in qualifying and the race. Lewis was coasting, but that's why he caught up. Yeah. He's not miles off if he really is uncomfortable in the car, but it's not up to his standard. Yeah, it's Monaco, though. His badge should be a podium. 5 because he did not stand up for himself when he made him pit. Honestly, I actually think it's lower than a 4 when you think about it. Like, maybe I need to talk about it now to give my context, but I really think Ferrari should have been fighting for pole. I think Ferrari should have been fighting for pole, and they've ended up qualifying 2 tenths down, 3 tenths down on Antonelli, and behind Max. Charles specifically behind his teammate as well. Charles making a mistake in quali, and then you get to the race. Charles's race pace sucked on that first tire, and then he crashed out from the race. It's like 2 crashes, poor pace in qualifying, poor pace on the first stint. I really think this should be a lower rating. Like if he had finished the race, I still think I would have given him like... I honestly think if he had finished the race, I still would have probably given him like a 5 or a 6. I'm not going to lie. Well, actually, it depends on because he obviously caught up on the second stint. But then crashing it, yeah, I think it has to be lower than this. Honestly, I think it has to be a 3. I think some people are going to say this is a harsh rating. Oh, he outqualified George. He outqualified Hadja. But we know Hadja is a second Rebel driver. We know that he struggles with that car. So to barely outqualify him, I don't think is anything fantastic. That's bare minimum. And then, I mean, it's more just shit from Russell to fucking finish 6th than anything. To qualify 6th. Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard. I don't know if it's a 3 or 4. I don't know if it's 3 or 4. Crashed in race, bottled to qualify. He caught up in 2nd because Lewis was doing Lyco heavy. 4 is fair, if not 3. Norris got 4 for being unlucky and not doing much in quali because McLaren was not that good. Charles made so many mistakes. That's true. I gave Norris a 4. Wait, I gave Norris a 4.5. And Leclerc had a much worse weekend than Lando in terms of performance. Remember, we're rating performance, not results. 9 for the background house music. Hell yeah. Damn, it's really tied. It's really tied here. Majority of you guys saying 5, though. I think that's too low. Maybe a 3.5. Nah, but you crashed out. No! What am I thinking here? Nah. He threw the points away. Fuck the tire stint. Fuck where you qualied. You crashed out and threw away points. It should actually be lower. It should actually be lower than 3. Nah, I had to recalibrate myself and remind myself. We're rating a performance here. Bro got 0 points from his own fault. The only positive of this weekend, positive, not average. The only positive is his 2nd stint. But question, was Leclerc's 2nd stint good, or was Lewis's 2nd stint bad? So I don't think anything was good from Leclerc if you think about it that way. I don't. Leclerc's 2nd stint was worse than Kimi's, which is I guess expected because it's Merc, but I'm sticking to a 3. To be honest, I think he's lucky to get a 3. He's lucky to get a 3 because everyone else around him was a bum this weekend. That's the best way to put it. He's lucky to get a 3 because everyone else around him made him look good. Or not look good. Look, not absolute trash. Deep breaths. All right. Move on from Charles. I'm going to keep it at a 3. Next up, we got Carlos Sainz, the last of the drivers who didn't finish the race. What do you rate Sainz out of 10? If you just tune on the stream, this is the poll. Type in Twitch chat, out of 10, what you rate the driver. And it will pop up on the poll. Okay, so Sainz in qualifying. Qualified P12, 1/10, or no, a few milliseconds behind his teammate. He outqualified the Audi boys who were looking good in quali. He outqualified Franco. He outqualified Arvid. Yeah. Good quality from Sainz. I don't think he could have done much more than that. Maybe you could argue he should have outqualified. No, I think Williams had a good Audi performance in quali. Put their car where it should be. They were together. Nice. But he did get outqualified by his teammate. Then, in the race, he was, I think, on for points, if I'm not mistaken. Let's quickly have a check at the race restart. Excuse me. Yes, he was on for points behind his teammate and then got taken out. Double taken out, actually. So no fault of his own. So let's go, obviously a few laps to go. Let's assume that he would have finished behind Albon and gotten points for Williams. I think he's had a solid weekend. I think whatever we rate Albon, it should be one rating lower for finishing behind him in the race and getting out qualified by him. But I think Sainz has done good. So let me try to think. What am I going to rate Albon? Probably a... Cool. Yeah, I'll probably give it Sainz an 8. Oh, spoiler, I've just spoiled what I'm going to be Albon. I don't know. Yeah, he lost his Monaco point streak. He had a 100% point rate finish. Oh, fuck. That's okay. Cinnamon bomb the stream, dude. In the race, he needed Albon to open up a gap to allow him to make a pit stop. True, but they worked together well, man. They worked together well as teammates. It's not his fault in DNF, and bro literally dragged that track to P12 in quali. He did the rest of the race perfectly. Yeah. What was Max's rating? We gave it inconclusive. Got murdered because of Russell's shenanigans in the race. He was doing good teamwork with Albon. Yeah. Roby and Kaku. Look at the stream, guys. I'm surprised George wasn't noted for driving out so slowly. Albon a 9 for finishing 8th behind 2 V-carbs. Look, maybe I'll adjust this rating once we talk about Albon, but I think Albon is a 9. Yeah, he finished behind both V-carbs, but I think that V-carb looked much better in quali. Or maybe it was just the drivers. Actually, no, true. Albon did say himself that they didn't maximize finishing behind. Okay, I'm going to give Sainz a tentative 7.5. But whatever we give Albon, I'm going to give him 1 less. 0.5 for quali, 0.5 for the race. Finishing behind Albon. But we'll talk more about Sainz. We'll come back to Sainz to finalize Sainz's rating after Albon. But I'm going to keep it at 7.5 for now. Majority of you guys saying 7 for Sainz. Ooh. Next up, we've got a interesting one. Because this rating could go 2 ways. Actually, no, there is no 2 ways about it. Poll is up for Sergio Perez. What do you rate Perez's performance this weekend out of 10? So, Checo, in qualified P18. He outqualified Ollie Behrman in a Haas, and he outqualified his teammate by 5/10, and he outqualified the Aston Martins, and he was so close, actually, to outqualifying Ocon. He's done, in my opinion, a good job in quali. Then, in the race, if I'm not mistaken, he moved up quite well off the start. No, he pit when... Oh, the highlights aren't going to show it, are they? If I'm not mistaken, he moved up really well off the start, and then he got a penalty for being out of his grid box, right? That is his fault. He then came back through the field really nicely, redeeming himself, and finished in P10, scoring Cadillac's first points for the team until he went outside the box again. So performance-wise, quali was good. Annihilated his teammate as usual. Outqualified a Haas on the back of the other Haas. Race pace was really good. It's just two mistakes that are stupid mistakes back-to-back. Causing yourself to lose points is tough. So I don't know what to do with this. It's like, I probably would have given him a... I probably would have given him a 9. I'm not going to lie. For where he finished the race. Sorry, for his performance. But at the end of the day, you made 2 mistakes that cost you points. Even if you didn't do one of them, you would have got points. But you did 2? You did 2? I don't know. I don't know what to rate him here. You know, at the end of the day, like I did say with Charles, like I dropped his rating down a lot because I was like, well, he didn't get any points. But like, at the end of the day, Perez only lost 1 point, but that's big. That's like a podium for Cadillac. That's like a podium. Someone give 10, please. What is happening right now? The penalty dropped all his ranking. Would have been a 9, but he's absolutely thrown it away by his own decision. Yeah. How much do you think? If I'm giving him a 9, how much should I drop it down? Maybe it's a 5. Maybe it's like a, well done, buddy. You were fucking quick this weekend. But come on, let's not make these 2 mistakes that cost you. What the hell? The pole just died. You're right. What the hell? Oh, it looks like the website broke again. No! Why does the website always break when I'm doing it? When I'm doing polls. Anyways, majority of you guys were saying a 4. Maybe you guys broke it by voting for every single option. Majority of you guys were voting a 4 for that. I'll see if the poll comes back up. I think I'm going to keep it a 5, man. I think I keep it a 5. Good weekend, good performance, but you need to clean up those mistakes because that cost you those results. And he'll say that himself. All right. Wait, let me see if this... Oh, it's back. It's back. Okay. Well, we won't do the poll for Perez again. All right. Next up, we've got Franco Colapinto. Honestly, probably the most under the radar driver this weekend. Wait, why is that on the screen? It's on my screen. There we go. Polls up, polls up, polls up. If you're just tuning on in, you just type in Twitch chat, the number, and it'll pop up. Espresso Italiano. They were the follow. Yeah, honestly, the most under the radar driver this weekend, obviously, other than the contact he had. But let's talk about it. So Colapinto qualified P14. He was 5 positions lower than his teammate. Out-qualified by 2/10. He got out-qualified by Hulkenberg, by both Williams, and by Liam. I thought it was pretty disappointing qualifying from Franco. Overall, his pace this weekend kind of slacked compared to the last couple weekends. And then in the race, he ended up finishing P14 because he got a penalty for taking out Hulkenberg, which was sloppy, and his race pace was also poo. He was nowhere near Gasly throughout any of that race. I thought it was a very underwhelming weekend for Colapinto, if I'm being honest. And I think he would have got points. No, he wouldn't even got points without his 10-second pen. Yeah, honestly, very, very underwhelming weekend. I think we've got to go 3 for Franco. At least he didn't crash out. But he did take someone out. And he did, yeah, poor pace against Gasly. Poor pace in the race. Incident. Not great. Not great. Did he get a pit lane pen as well? Ooh. Question. We haven't got to it yet. What? Okay, well, this is a perfect time to ask then. How are we going to approach the pit lane pens in terms of the ratings? Are we blaming the drivers? Are we 50-50 blaming the drivers and the system? Are we not blaming the drivers at all? I don't know what to do here because I think we have to blame Gasly because they did it twice. But let's use Franco, who only did it once. Do we just ignore it and be like, look, system error? Like, I don't know. I don't know. My verdict on that whole situation, as we've spoken about already with the Grand Prix review part of this stream, I think it's 50-50. I think I can see with FIA to blame because they create a system which can be inaccurate in situations like this. But their system is based off of a line which the drivers and teams decided to cut. But then on the team side of things, they aren't speeding. So they haven't done anything wrong. But they have decided to game a system, which is fuck the system. So I'm kind of 50-50 driver versus FIA fault. So maybe in terms of ratings, we have to knock maybe like, I don't know, like 0.5 off or something. Because they like slightly contributed it by trying to game this. I don't know. Ignore them. What's up, Gene Lee? Welcome to the stream. Iron. Hello. It's 50-50. I mean, they made the mistake and the other drivers didn't, so they're to blame. Fully driver's fault. Ignore them. It's a joke. Piff, no idea. Can we really blame Franco for George trying to force a crash? Well, I mean, you could just drive and not hit someone. At the end of the day, to the system problem, because gaslighting on one of his speed penalties is data that backs that. Don't go to the limit. To be fair, did you hear Bono's radio? He knew about the situation, told Kimmy when he pet. Yeah. You have to take drivers into consideration because not every driver on the grid got a penalty. So it could have been avoided. Blame FI entirely. Why? Not all drivers got penalties, so few drivers made errors. You have to blame drivers because most drivers serve their penalties, so it evens out. Those that didn't make the choice, that's their fault. Alright, I'm going to go 2.5 for Franco. Off the pace in quali. Lower in qualifying than he should have been. Race pace was poo. Took someone out, and they got a pit lane penalty. Sorry, Franco. Let's hope you're back to normal form next week. All right, majority of you guys saying 3 for Franco. Next up, we have got Nico Hulkenberg. What do you rate Hulkenberg's weekend out of 10? One sec, guys. I'm back. Okay. Camera's freaking out. Lol. Okay, we talk about Hulkenberg. So Hulkenberg in qualifying, out-qualified Gabby by by 3/10. No. By 7/10. He out-qualified Franco, he out-qualified Arvid. To be honest, I do think Audi should have been ahead of the Williams boys. Yeah, I think Audi should have been ahead of the Williams boys, so I think it's a little bit disappointing. I don't know, Audi kind of fell off after practice, so I don't know, maybe they should have been ahead of the Williams boys, so I don't know. End of the day, Hulkenberg beat his teammate. I think he should have been maybe close to the Williams. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't an amazing quali for Nico. And then in the race, he got taken out by Franco, but still finished P13 somehow. Yeah, where was he running before he got taken out? He was ahead of Bortoletto. Wait, no. On the restart, he was... Before he got taken out, he was P12, ahead of Bortoletto. Wow. And on the verge of points, but behind Ocon. So he probably would have got points if it wasn't for getting taken out. So, yeah. Well, you guys are rating... What the fuck? Are you guys... 4. 4 for Hulk. Oh, wait. No, sorry. Hulk took out Sainz. I'm an idiot. Sorry. I got mixed up. I thought Sainz got taken out. My bad. I was like, what the fuck? How are you guys voting Hulk 4 when he got taken out? My bad. Sorry. Run it back. Hulk. Quali. Good. Beat Franco by 7/10. Out-qualified Gabby by 7/10. Beat Franco. Beat Arvid. Probably could have done a little bit better in quali, but it wasn't bad. Race. Was potentially on for points and then took out Sainz. And yeah, just took out Sainz. Gave himself a penalty. So yeah, pretty sloppy. It wasn't a bad weekend for Hulk though, but I guess you could argue he missed out on points. So I don't know. 4, I guess. Did well in quali. Was doing okay in the race. Ruined it though. But I don't know. 4. 4.5. No, I was thinking lower. Hulk had nowhere to go because of George backing up the pack. I don't like that excuse. I don't like the excuse for Franco and Hulk. Oh, they had nowhere to go. You just gotta drive more careful in situations like that. You have to blame drivers because wait, read that. I know we're looking at like easy point scores in those free practice sessions. Yeah. I'm gonna keep Hulk in 4. I'm gonna keep Hulk in 4. All right, majority of you guys saying 4 as well. All right. We got a big one. We got a big one. Mr. G. Russ. What do you guys rate George Russell out of 10? I feel like we need to sit down for this one. It's getting so hot in my room, man. Whoa. Whoa. I'm seeing a lot of Russell hate. Okay, in qualifying, Russell qualified P6. He got out-qualified by his teammate by 4 tenths. He also got out-qualified by Hadja. He also got out-qualified...
It has been a rough day at work, man. This stream is barely keeping me afloat. Thank you for streaming. Love you, Blake. Also, it is fucking hot here. Also, G. Russ is a solid 3.
Thank you, best dude, for the 100 bits, dude. Appreciate you watching. I hope you have a better day. Still somehow P3, if not his pit crew mess up. Yeah, true, true. That a bit slow, best dude. What was I saying? Okay, Russell, P6. Out-qualified by his teammate by 4 tenths. And then also out-qualified by Hadja. Also out-qualified by Charles and Lewis. Also out-qualified by Max. Now, when your teammate's on pole and you're down in P6 at a track like Monaco, that should not be happening. Very, very poor from Russell. Yeah. Then, in the race, manage... What happened in the race now? Oh, we moved up past Max. He was stuck behind Hadja, who had issues. I mean, do you blame Russell for not being able to get past Hadja, or do you blame Monaco from not being able to get past? I mean, I'd say, it's hard to overtake, but I do feel like Russell had some opportunities to probably get past Hadja there. Then he got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, which, I mean, again, we've spoken about before, partly the driver's fault. Then this is where I'm a bit different to you guys. I think him pitting and Mercedes not serving his pit stop is fucked from the team standpoint. That is not his fault. I'm not going to speak about it much more. We already spoke about it for so long in the Grand Prix review section, but I think it's absolutely fucked that he came in and the team didn't serve his pen quickly. It's not Russell's fault at all. That is completely the team's fault. He then got a drive-through because of that, and his race got ruined. So, yeah, I think you cannot demote points off of Russell for that. But his weekend was already poo as it is. He would have probably finished... Where would he probably finish? Would he beat Hadja? Would he got P3? Or would he got P4? I think he would have got P3, right? Yeah, he would have got P3. So he would have got P3 in the end. But from a performance standpoint, you're still 4 tenths off your teammate in quali. You're still finishing in 3rd instead of 2nd. Or instead of 1st. And you had to have a Max retirement and a Leclerc retirement to even get your podium. It wasn't really a great weekend from Russell. I don't think it's a 1, though. I don't think, he didn't crash in quali. He didn't crash in the race. He didn't really do anything wrong that warrants anything less than a 3. But he was slower than his teammate. But at the end of the day, he still would have probably got... He would have got on a podium if it wasn't for his team fucking that up. So, I don't know. I'm thinking like a 4. Like, that's usually what I give a driver when they're worse than their teammate, but don't really do anything wrong. Unless you can remind me where he's done something wrong. I don't think he's done... Well, I mean, obviously, he cut the pit lane, but, like, we've already spoken about that. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a 4. Like, I think if you give him lower than a 4, you're just hating. Like, he didn't crash, bro. He didn't crash. And it wasn't his fault that the fucking... His team didn't serve his pen. He did get lapped by Kimmy. That is bad. That is bad. Roman Lover, thank you for the follow. Lindbergh got past the Williams clean, so Russell should have. Poor from Russell or just extraordinary from Kimi. I think a little bit of both. He did pass Hedger on pit stop, but didn't go that far away after. He also purposely drove slow. Yeah, I don't mind that. It is fucked, but he still flopped this weekend. Lapped by the same car is crazy, though. Kimi is racing. Russell was lapping. Agree that was the team's fault. He got lapped by his teammate. Lapped by teammate. You just cannot make this up. Yeah. I mean, that is pretty bad, actually, to be fair. Love him laughing at Kim K on Saturday. 4, you're telling me Lando had basically the same weekend as... He had basically the same weekend as Lando. Yeah, true. Well, I gave Lando a 4.5. You are right. You are right. The backing up the pack at the end of the GP made no sense to me. There weren't enough laps for him to do that. He'd only have a podium being that far off his teammate because he's in the fastest car. True, and I guess it is because the other guys fucked about. Yeah, no, I think you guys are right. I think it is a 3. I think it is a 3. Like, being lapped by your teammate, the only reason you would have finished on the podium was Leclerc and Max crashing out and Hadja having issues. I actually don't think he would have beaten Hadja. I don't even think he would have beaten Hadja if it wasn't for Hadja's issues. That's the only reason he got past Hadja, was because Hadja had issues and he undercut him. So, yeah, I think you're right. 3. But I'm not going lower than 3. The pen wasn't... The drive-through wasn't his fault. And he didn't crash, unlike some people. But yeah. Whack, man, whack. Anyways, majority of you guys saying 1. Okay. Trolling. But yeah, bro. I think I'm shaving this beard, man. I said if Russell doesn't win the championship this year, I'm shaving my beard. It is looking more likely by the day. Alright, next up. Last non-points finisher. We've got Gabriel Bortoleto. What do you rate Bortoleto's weekend out of 10? Get your votes in on the poll. So Bortoleto qualified P11. Bortoleto qualified P16. He got out-qualified by his teammate by 7/10. He got out-qualified by Arvid. He got out-qualified by Franco. He got out-qualified by the Williams and by Liam. I think the Audi should have been P11, P12, maybe even on the verge of qualifying. It's hard to tell. They were so good in practice and they just kind of fell off. So he got annihilated by his teammate. Then in the race, he was behind his teammate basically the whole race. The only reason he finished P11 was because his teammate got taken out because everyone else had fucking pens. And he still couldn't get points. He still couldn't get points. Yeah, and he absolutely bottled qualifying by crashing. I forgot about that. He still couldn't get points. I think it's a poor weekend from Bortoleto, if I'm being honest. Yes, he finished ahead of Hulk, but that's only because Hulk made a mistake. So, yeah. I feel like this is, he didn't do anything wrong in the race, to be fair. He didn't do anything wrong in the race. I think it's going to be a 3. I was going to give him lower than a 3, but, like, he didn't do anything wrong in the race. He just couldn't score points. Couldn't score points. Despite the whole grid being taken out. Yeah, the only driver, actually... Well, actually not. Yeah, the only driver who didn't score points, who didn't have an issue. That makes sense. He made up 11 places. To be fair, he did start from the pit lane. But do you know who he beat, though? Do you know who he beat, Evan? Max, who didn't start. Bottas, who has GM quality car. Behrman, who retired. Norris, who broke down. Stroll, who crashed. Charles, who crashed. Sainz, who got taken out. Perez, who had 20 seconds of penalties. Franco, who had a 10-second penalty. His teammate, who had a 10-second penalty. And George Russell, who had a drive-through. I don't know if making up 11 places is that good. When that's the people you beat. And he got beaten by Alonso. He got beaten by Alonso at an Aston Martin. Yeah, he's getting a 3. He's only not getting lower because he didn't crash in the race and had no problems in the race. That's the only reason. But he did crash in quali, though. No. Someone in chat said he's not rated lower than Russell. He kind of is, though. He had a bigger gap to his teammate in qualifying than Russell. And crashed, which Russell didn't do. And at least Russell worked his way through the field. Slightly. Bortoleto finished outside the points with the whole grid gone. He finished behind Alonso. Imagine everyone in the race finished and he finished behind Alonso. He would be down to P21. Nah, it's going to be lower. I think it's 2.5. Sorry, Gabby. I love you, but that was a stinker weekend, man. That was a stinker. All right, majority of you guys saying 4. I think that's too high, man. I think it's too high for Bortoleto. Bro couldn't get points. Bro couldn't get points over Alonso. Bro got lapped by his teammate. He got lapped by Hulkenberg as well. Fuck. Oh, no, you're talking about Russell. 3 because of the crash and quality not getting points. Why does bro keep saying Nico got taken? Sorry, I meant Nico took someone out. My bad. Bro was literally gifted points and still couldn't get them. And that also comes down to the fact that he should have done better in quality as well. Oh my god, the sun is beaming in right now, guys. The sun is beaming in. All right, we finally move on to the points finishes. And first up, we've got this man. How's this man done it? How has this man gotten a point? Let's talk about it. So, in qualifying, he out-qualified his teammate by 7/10. Still couldn't beat Valtteri Bottas, though. But he out-qualified his teammate by 7/10. That car looked like absolute poo. It couldn't make corners. It couldn't downshift properly through the hairpin. Then, in the race, made absolutely no mistakes, kept it clean, doing exactly what a driver in his car should do. Remember Haas? Remember Haas in 2024? And they both ended up crashing. And Gunter's like, just don't crash. This is why. This is why. Just don't crash. Don't be the one to crash. Capitalize on everyone else crashing. And Alonso did exactly that. Finishing in P10, capitalizing on everyone else's mistakes, capitalizing on all the pens, and just finished the race. Now, a little bit lucky at the end of the day, a little bit lucky. Not necessarily his doing, but he did his job. I'm going to give him a 9. I'm going to give him a 9. I see a lot of 10s. I mean, is it a 10? Maybe it is a 10 for how poo the Aston is. No, we're rating performances here. We're rating performances here. It's a 10 for the result. It's a 10 for the result. Let's remember, we're rating performances here. At the end of the day, he didn't do anything insane. He just did his job of finishing the race, and he got points. That deserves a 9. But from a performance standpoint, I think he should have out-qualified Bottas, if I'm being honest. And I mean, yeah, he just got lucky. But, like, still, 9. 9 for Alonso. Yeah. Tanquerist. What is up, dude? On the stream. Arcos as well. Welcome. Lucky points, though, not gonna lie. 21st to 10th is insane, no matter what happened in the race. Yeah, that is true. That is true. This is Aura. Give him a 10. Got a point in a tractor because other drivers did not finish and got penalties. Inget. I'm on the stream. I'm drawing you like a femboy if you don't give him a 10. All right, go on then. He drove a minus 10% engine car to points. But yeah, that was a little bit... I'm sticking to a 9. For me, 10... For me, a 10 is you have a perfect weekend. And when you're in a backmarker car like that, you can't really showcase yourself being perfect. He perfectly drove in the race to finish in the points, but he also needed everyone else to perfectly fucking crash and get pens for that to happen. So, what? Again, we're rating the driver's performance. And... it's not a 10 performance from Alonso. It's a 10 fucking race from him, but it's not a 10 performance. I'm sticking to a 9. Majority of you guys saying 10. I get why. Next up, we have got the probably second most underrated, under the radar driver of the fucking weekend, Esteban Ocon. What the hell, bro? Where was this man? He was hiding. He was hiding all weekend and then somehow got points. I don't get it. All right, so Ocon in qualifying out-qualified his teammate by a 10th. Well, that feels rare at the moment. But he went out in Q1 behind Bortoletto, behind... sorry. Just barely ahead of Perez. To be honest, I think that's where the Haas would have qualified at the end of the day. That's the best he could have done. He out-qualified his teammate. He's done his job, actually. He's done his job. Then, in the race, I don't know how he's finished in P9. Similar situation to Alonso, though, of, like, just everyone around him fucking crashing and getting penalties, and he kept it clean. We don't have his teammate to compare him to. Yeah, very similar to Alonso. I think we are going to give him a 9 as well. I think very similar race of, like, you know, did his best in quali. Don't think he could have done better. To be honest, Alonso, I said he could have done better. So he's done better than Alonso in qualifying in that sense. But, yeah, in the race, got points just like he needed to. Am I missing anything with Ocon? I don't think so. I don't think so. Bro just did his job, man. You get a 9 for that. You get a 9 for that. Ocon somehow not catching pens with the curse. True. 10, he never got a penalty. The most shocking thing. In a race full of penalties, he got none. Very needed points as well for his career on Tyro. Yep. Alright, majority of you saying an 8. I think that's too low. Just because you guys don't like Ocon. Alright, next up, we've got Alex Albon. He had a bit of a weird weekend, to be honest. He had a bit of a weird one. Oh, not a weird one, a bit of a weird race, I should say. Qualifying. Albon qualified P11. He out-qualified Sainz by 1/10, so he's done his job there. I think he put the Williams exactly where it should be. I don't think it could have made Q3. The V-carb was 3/10 ahead. He almost out-qualified Gasly, actually, but no. So, I don't know, I think he's done his job. Out-qualified his teammate, put the car right on the verge of Q3. Great stuff. And then in the race, it was a really weird one. He was really struggling with the battery. He had a battery problem. He was struggling to... Who was he struggling to overtake? Who was that? There was someone he was struggling to overtake for a while. Or struggling to defend or something. Was it Liam? I can't remember. Was that Lindblad? Oh, it was Lindblad. Lindblad was right on his ass, and he was struggling with him with his battery. But he managed to hold him up. And then he helped Sainz? He helped Sainz to get Sainz ahead. Then they lost out to Lindblad. So, I don't know. Do you blame the team here? Do you blame Albon? At the end of the day, they didn't beat Lindblad, which is a bit of an L. But I don't know if I'd blame Albon for that. It's kind of hard to... I don't know. He was struggling with a lot of issues. Sainz helped him. Yeah, so I mean, it's a bit of a confusing one. I don't really know what to rate L1 here. Like, he had a good result. He finished P8. But he finished behind Gasly, who had pens, and he finished behind Arvid, who he definitely should have lost to. So, I don't know what to rate him. That's on the team, not him. Lindblad pulled a legitimate overtake at Monaco. L1 lost a position when he had fresh tires, and Arvid had 50-lap old tires. Really? Not a fan of that Williams strategy. The consistency, though, has to be rated good, though. Didn't like him complaining about the team strategy. Albon lost the position when with that. Alex really let Lindblad pass. Right. Stinky performance, by the way. Sainz saved his race. Interesting. Okay. I don't know. I, to be honest, take this rating with a grain of salt. Because I actually don't know what to rate him. I'm thinking 7 then. Like, qualifying, did his job, out-qualified his teammate. Maybe there's an argument he could have made Q3. But then again, I didn't expect that for Williams. Race, he got the job done. He got P8. But... he let Arvid past him when he shouldn't have. They shouldn't have lost to Arvid, whether that's him or the team's fault. They shouldn't have lost to Arvid. They didn't beat Gasly, who had pens, after a safety car, which makes no sense. And he needed help from Sainz to make his strategy work, but also he was thrown in a weird position. It looked like his battery wasn't working, so... I don't know, I think 7's fair, but, yeah. His boost button wasn't working. Yeah, Robert, what does up, dude, above the stream? Alright, majority of you guys saying a 7 for Albon, so we agree on that. Alright. This man's going to be tough to rate. Next up, we have got Pierre Gasly. I think we need to draw a tear in his eye. I think we have to draw a tear in his eye. Okay. Gasly, in qualifying, qualified best of the rest. P9. Out-qualified Liam by 2/10. Out-qualified his teammate by... 2/10. But much higher position than what Franco got. Yeah, he had a very solid qualifying. Best of the rest. Amazing stuff. Then, in the race, he was cruising around, I think... No, he got Hadja off the start. He got Hadja... Sorry, not Hadja, sorry. He got Norris off the start. Held up Norris the entire race. Put himself in an amazing position. Then, all the chaos happened, and he jumped Hadja off the race restart. Was on for a podium... but dropped off the podium because of his 2 penalties. Now, this is where I get confused, right? The first penalty, we've spoken about already. We were going to knock 0.5 off of the driver because it's their fault for gaming the system. And, like, even though it's all fucked, we're going to knock 0.5 off, which I'm still going to do. But what confuses me is he didn't serve the pen. So they knew that the system was fucked. They knew that they wanted to appeal the pen at the end of the race. But he went and did it anyway. So I don't know what to rate him here. They knew what the problem was. To the point where they didn't want to serve the pen to appeal it. And then did it again anyway. So do we knock more points off because he did it twice? Or do we go, oh, they didn't know what was happening. But then why didn't they serve the pen then? So they've either... One problem is they knew what the problem was and did it again. Or they didn't know what the problem was and didn't serve the pen. Either way, they've made a mistake here. I don't get that from Alpine. Alpine really confused me in that race. In the end, I think they've somehow made the right fucking decision. Because I think this will get appealed and this will get accepted, I hope. But, yeah, man. What should have been a podium for Gasly in such a good race... well, I mean, I guess you could argue you wouldn't have got a podium if everyone else didn't have the pen issue, but Cinnamon, favor the follow, he would have got. What would have Gasly got if it wasn't for the pen issue? P4, I guess. He would have got P4 if it wasn't for the pen issue. No, Russell third. It would have been Antonelli 1, Hamilton 2, Russell 3, Gasly 4. Yeah, he would have got 4th. Because Russell wouldn't have had his pens. No, this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this. So I'm looking at the safety car restart. So like, Stroll still would have crashed. Leclerc still would have crashed, right? Russell would have got 3rd because he wouldn't have had a pen and his drive-through. Hadger still would have got overtaken. Piastri's pen's irrelevant. Maybe Piastri would have been in the mix if he hadn't served his pen. You could argue maybe Piastri would have been in the mix if he hadn't served his pen. Let's just say P4 or P5 he would have got. Which is insane. Which is insane. If they took away his penalty, then they'd have to take away Oscar's. Oscar's served his. Yeah, that's what I mean. So, P4 or P5 is still great. So, I don't know what to rate him here, man. The thing is, despite throwing a podium, he still demolished his bum-ass teammate. Yep. This is a real tough one, man. I honestly think if he had a finish on the podium, it would have been a 10. We need to knock 0.5 off for the first penalty because, again, like, partly his fault. But then I feel like we need to knock another, like, 1 off because he gave himself a second pen and lost all those points, but he still finished well and his performance was still good. I feel like it's going to be an 8, man. I don't know. It really depends on how this appeal goes. Inconclusive, maybe. We give him inconclusive. If he gets his podium back... I think it's a 9. Under the same precedent that we gave Alonso and Ocon of, like, the only reason he got a podium was because of everyone else fucking about. And all the pens and shit like that. And I guess he's lucky that he gets his pens removed and the others don't. So I think with the precedent, yeah, so I think 8 is valid. He still had a really great weekend. Amazing qualifying, amazing race pace. Just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think 8. It's too confusing. It's too confusing, this rating. I'll keep it at 8. But it could be higher, could be lower. I don't think it should be lower than this. Okay. I think less hard people to rate now. I think. Next up. We've got Arvid Lindblad. What do we rate Arvid's weekend out of 10? My gosh. Arvid, in quali, got out-qualified by his teammate by 8 tenths, which is not great. He said himself his qualifying was very poor and very, what's the word? Underwhelming. He got out-qualified by Franco. He got out-qualified by Hulkenberg, by both Williams, and then obviously his teammate as well. Very poor qualifying. However, in the race, amazing strategy. Went so long on those tires to put himself in a position to capitalize on something like that. Amazing strategy from the team. But for Arvid to make those tires work for 50 laps and even go for an overtake on Albon is insane. Now, he got very lucky with the timing. But unlike Alonso and Ocon, which is benefiting from other people being idiots, Arvid's benefited from doing a perfect strat and making it work. So I think it's a different situation here. Ended up finishing in P6. Obviously jumped a few people because of the pens, such as Gasly and Russell. But still, absolutely amazing weekend for Arvid. I think Arvid deserves probably an 8.5. I think we knock one off for being behind his teammate all weekend, both race pace and quali pace. And then we knock 0.5 off for the quali for obviously getting lucky. For the luck, but still, I think it was a very solid weekend for Arvid. Obviously, it wouldn't have been this good if it wasn't for all the shit that went down. But at the end of the day, great race pace. Good race pace. Amazing strategy and decision making with the tires. And brought home some solid points. Its Monaco time management is not that insane. Yeah. Most 8 code performance considering we will be giving Messiah Lawson a 10 himself. Even Liam capitalized on others' mistakes. I disagree with Liam. I don't think Liam capitalized on others' mistakes. We'll get to that in a second, though. But yeah, still, Arvid, regardless of all the shit that went down, Arvid still would have got an amazing result. Like, ignore the penalties. Arvid still finishes P7, P8. You know what I mean? He still finishes P8 after starting P15. Like, he's still done a really, really good job. So yeah, I'm going to get 8.5 for Arvid. Great race. Should have had a better qualifying, but lucky to have capitalized on that in the race with his strategy. So 8.5 for Arvid. Majority of you guys saying 8, which means we move on to my boy. Liam. What do we rate Liam? Out of 10. Get your votes into the poll. Yeah, Liam had an awesome weekend, man. I'm finally starting to see TikToks and tweets saying, like, Liam's underrated. This is the Liam we knew. This is the Liam we should have seen at Red Bull. Blah, blah, blah. I'm happy. Anyways, in qualifying, Liam qualified P10. Out-qualified his teammate by 8/10, which is such a big margin at a track like Monaco. If I'm not mistaken, the biggest qualifying margin to their teammate of the weekend. Am I wrong in thinking that? Got out-qualified by 2/10 by Pierre Gasly, but to be honest, I don't think the V-Carb should have ever made Q3. Like, where Arvid qualified, I think is where the V-Carb should have been. Like, I think it should have been behind Audi. I think it should have been behind the Williams. So for Liam to have made Q3, I think was amazing. And then in the race, drove very... I'm just trying to recap what happened in the race. Yeah, drove really well in the race. Held off the Williams boys. Did his thing. Did he have to do anything to help Arvid? I don't think he did, right? Then, obviously, on the restarts, kept it clean. Didn't get a penalty. Honestly, like, probably one of the drivers who had the most... Probably one of the only drivers, other than Kimi, who had, like, a normal race. Like, no pens. Didn't really benefit from people around him getting penalties. Just genuinely, other than Gasly... Oh, and Russell. Other than Gasly and Russell, like, he finished basically where he should have. Like, he would have got P7. If it wasn't for the penalties, he would have got P7. Which is still an amazing result for a V-Carb at Monaco. And even at one point, maybe could have got on a podium if luck went a little bit more his way. So yeah, I thought Liam had an amazing weekend. I am going for 9.5 for Liam. I mean, there's an argument this is a 10, to be honest. There's an argument this is a 10. But I think, obviously, did luck out a little bit with the penalties and stuff. And also, I think, I don't know. Maybe it is a 10. Maybe it is a 10. Now, 10, you got to be perfect. But he didn't do anything wrong. If he had to finish P7 with Russell and Gasly ahead of him, would have that been a 10? I mean, I guess he still did nothing wrong. He still drove a perfect weekend. I don't know. I'll let you guys decide because I'm too biased, man. I'm too biased. Ethan Motorsports, what's up, dude? 10 because he's not there to make friends, but ended up romancing Arvid. Voted for him as a driver of the day. Was super impressed. Yeah. Kimi getting driver of the day was fair, but there's a few good other drivers this weekend. We're not giving him a 10. He did great, but made no visible mistake, but he beat nobody on raw merit. Yeah, true. I guess he did finish behind Gasly. His own personal performance at a 10, though. Saw 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, or commit 9.5. 10, you got to be perfect, and I think at a track like Monaco, to get a result like that, you need a little bit of luck. So it's kind of like, it's a 10 for, put it this way, it's a 10 for Monaco. It's a 10 for Monaco. But for a performance, like, I want to see you get some overtakes and be closer to Gasly, but Gasly was on another level. He did really well compared to Arvid, but Arvid is a rookie. Did he overtake? I can't remember. If you're Aussie, why do you root for Liam? I grew up in New Zealand, and Liam was the first driver I ever interviewed. and I've interviewed him multiple times. I met him. He's such a nice guy. So it's more than just the country thing. But I did grow up in New Zealand, so. All right, majority of you guys saying 9 and 10. Split down the middle. All right. Next up, we have got P4, Oscar Piastri. What do you rate Oscar Piastri out of 10? Get your votes in on the poll. The real Lapey. Name of the follow. All right. So, Oscar, very weird weekend. He outqualified his teammate by 1/10. And I, to be honest, think he put the McLaren where it should have been. The McLaren was nowhere near the big boys, but it was clear of the other guys. So, honestly, he's qualified where he should and outqualified Lando. Then, in the race, what happened in the race? I think he held off the guys behind him off the start. Yeah. Yeah, he held off the guys behind him. He didn't get overtaken by Gasly, unlike his teammate. Yeah. Got a penalty, served it, came out behind Gasly. Did he get overtaken off the start? No, he started behind all of them. Honestly, didn't really do much. Honestly, Gasly's weekend is qualifying exactly where he should be. Doing better than his teammate in both the race and qualifying. Got himself a pen, which cost him the spot on Gasly. But in the end, balanced out because Gasly also got a pen, more pens, and he finished ahead of Gasly. Honestly, he finished where he should have. And obviously capitalized on everyone's luck. I don't even know. It's like, if everyone else finished the race, he probably gets like a low rating but then again, he kind of just did his job. I don't know. It's like, I feel like it's like a 7.5. Like it's kind of like a good weekend. It was a good weekend, good result. Beat it better than his teammate. Put the car where it should be, and then also capitalized on everything else. So, yeah, 6 or 7 because he only really did well because everyone else did badly. Is that true though? Because he also got the pen and still did okay. 6 should have been faster than Ferraris. No way you think McLaren should be faster than Ferrari this weekend. Hell nah. He blocked Lando a gift Gasly Norris position. He got beat on track by Gasly, so it can't be that high, yeah. But he got, no. Don't get it twisted. He got beaten on track by Gasly because Gasly didn't serve his pens. I gave Gasly an 8, didn't I? Fairly sure I gave Gasly an 8. So I think... Yeah, true. Gasly did do a lot better. No. I gave Gasly an 8. And that's including the second pen. So I think that's a fair rating. I think if... With the current situation, I think Gasly 8, Piastri 7.5 makes sense. If Gasly gets his pens overturned, I think Gasly 9 and Piastri 7.5 makes sense. Are you doing Eliminator again? Or I might have to have a look. I'm sticking 7.5. I think at the end of the day, Gasly did his job. He kept it clean. Well, he actually got a pen. In the end, it balanced out. He finished P4. I don't think he was going to beat Hadjar. Hadjar had issues. Maybe you could argue he should have got past Hadjar. I don't know. I think 7.5. I'm going to stick to 7.5. But it's hard, man. It's hard. This is a really messy Grand Prix to do ratings for. I can't lie. Okay. We move on to the podium. Another messy one. Wait, no. Not a messy one, sorry. I thought Hadjar had a penalty for a second there. Hadjar. Wait. No, it was messy because he was under investigation. My bad. Hadjar. What do you rate Hadjar's weekend out of 10? So Hadjar in qualified P5. He outqualified Russell and outqualified the McLarens. Now again, I think the Red Bull should have outqualified the McLarens, but for second Red Bull seat standard, this was the best the second Red Bull driver has... Sorry, this is the best Red Bull have ever qualified as a team since 2022. So even though it's P5 and even though it's 4 tenths down on his teammate, It's good for Red Bull standards. But again, still 4/10 off his teammate. Still could have out-qualified the Ferraris. But I wouldn't expect that. Again, when we do these ratings, it's really hard because from a Red Bull second seat standpoint, had just had an amazing weekend. But from just a second driver standpoint, like he's still 4/10 off his teammate in quali, still should have been 2 places higher in quali. So it's always a hard one to rate the second Red Bull driver. Still, done a good job, out-qualified Russell, just on the back of the Ferraris. Good quali. Or not bad quali. I think Max has outperformed and had just qualified where I expected the Red Bulls to be. Then, in the race, what even happened? Did he get jumped off the start, or did he jump someone off the start? Or nothing? No, nothing happened. He just held P4. He defended Russell for most of the race while dealing with issues. Honestly, props to Hadja for driving around this track for the second time, only the second time in his career, having to deal with all those problems with his car and holding off Russell. Got jumped because of the issues, not because of his own fault. I think his pace was amazing. Got jumped by Russell. Then, off the race start, he did get jumped by Gasly, so that is a bit of a mistake from him. But then cruised it home to finish in P3 with all the penalties and stuff around him. He was lucky to get away with no penalty. Yeah, honestly, I think had just had a great race in the end with the problems. You know, similar to Piastri of just like keeping it clean. I mean, Piastri actually got a pen. Keeping it clean, doing his job. Again, not as good as his teammate in quali. But yeah, amazing to go on a podium. I'm feeling a 9. I think we knock off like 0.5 for quali, being 4/10 off your teammate, and we knock off 0.5 for losing position to Gasly on the restart. But we bump it back up for keeping it clean. Sorry, but obviously we keep the rating good because he kept it clean, got a good result, whilst dealing with all those problems. So I think it's 9's very solid for Hadja here. I think for Red Bull second seat standards, it's a 10. Honestly, for second Red Bull seat standards, for a driver to deal with problems and to not be the one causing the problems on track and getting penalties, I think it's a 10 for a second Red Bull seat standard. But from a performance standpoint, we're going 9. All right, majority of you guys say 9 for Hadja as well. Whew. 2 to go. And one of them is fairly easy. Lewis Hamilton. Don't make me crash out. Lewis Hamilton. What do we rate Lewis out of 10? So, Lewis, in qualifying, out-qualified his teammate by 1/10, which is great. It's good to see Lewis out-qualifying the qualifying master. However, like I said earlier, I do think it's a bit disappointing from Ferrari being 2/10 off of pole, 2/10 off of Max, and not out-qualifying them. I really think this was Ferrari's pole to get. I do think Kimi absolutely maximized quali. I don't think anyone was beating him, I'm not going to lie. But I do think they should have been closer and in the mix for fighting for pole. I don't know what happened on their laps. Like, Leclerc made a mistake and still was only 1/10 behind Lewis, which makes me think Lewis maybe made a mistake as well. Anyways, still a good qualifying. Beat his teammate, put it P3. Not bad, but I think it could have been a lot better qualifying. Then, in the race, was cruising around in P3. Oh, no, sorry, P2, because obviously Max retired, which you could argue a little bit of luck there. I don't know. But still, P2, cruising around. And his pace was, I think, pretty solid on the first stint. I thought it was really solid. I think Antonelli drove away at a rate that I expected on the Ferraris. But that second stint, man, was horrifically bad. Like, I genuinely think if in another world, no, I was gonna say, I generally think if Lewis's second stint was the same as his first, Ferrari could have left Leclerc out, held up Kimi, and they could have done a strategy where Lewis undercuts. But what should have been an undercut for Lewis ended up being him getting overcut even more. It was so bad. And then Leclerc caught up to him. Lewis also got the penalty for cutting the line, which in the end didn't affect his result or anything at all. And then he cruised it home for P2. But his pace in comparison to Kimi wasn't amazing. So yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one. I think Lewis had a really good weekend. It's just like, I really do think the Ferrari should have been fighting for pole. And I thought that second stint from Lewis was so weak. And I don't know. I don't know what to rate him, man. I don't know what to rate him. Because I feel like if I rate him, everyone's going to freak out. Because I'm seeing 9s and 10s, bruh. 9s and 10s? Do we really think Ferrari was meant to be 3/10 off in quali? Do keep in mind, you guys fucking demoted points. Do keep in mind, you guys literally demoted so many points for the other drivers for the pens, but you're not demoting Lewis for a pen? I guess he didn't lose out of position, so. 4 because he didn't give a shout out to Kim. Solid weekend, but nothing spectacular. And 8, I rate him 1 for bringing Kim to the paddock. Okay. Vitex, what does that do above the stream? He did very well until the Lyco. Okay, so explain this Lyco to me, bruh. Whenever Lewis is slow, he was Lycoing. What was he Lycoing for? Usually Lyco is to save the tires to the end of the race. What are we Lycoing for at Monaco? Softs is bad on Ferrari, medium better. Did he start on softs and then go to hards? Can't remember now. No, it was mediums hard, wasn't it? They fueled for safety cars, so he was coasting a lot. Wait. Did I hear this correct? Wait. I need more than one person to say this. Can a non-Ferrari Lewis fan confirm to me, was Lewis lifting to save fuel for a safety car? That can't be right. You're telling me on lap 20, what lap was it? You're telling me on lap 30, halfway through the race, Ferrari went, the strategy we went for, under fueling for the safety car? No. We're going to lift now for the rest of the race. We're not going to bother going for the undercut. We won't lift at the end of the race. We're going to lift now. 40. No, that's the dumbest excuse I've ever heard. Sorry. You do not lift and coast 40 laps before the end of the race to save fuel. If you underfuel for a safety car. That makes no sense. Ferrari had the best drivers, if not both not getting pole. Definitely a car problem. Just as with his radio, realistically it's a 7, but just go with 9 because you cannot please the Lewis fans. He's lifting for 200 meters. As someone that watched the onboards, this is false. You can check his radios. Why should he push? Anthony was clear. Why should he push? Why should he push? Why should he be pushed? To undercut Kimi? That was the whole point. If Lewis stayed out, if Lewis's pace was good, Kimi then would have been put in a position of, if he stays out, Lewis undercuts. If he pits, he comes behind Leclerc. But the problem was that never happened because Lewis's pace sucked on those hards. Leclerc caught him. Leclerc caught 15 seconds, guys. Leclerc caught 15 seconds on Lewis. I gotta go, Jim. Y'all take care. Catch you later, Samurai. Thank you so much for the gift of subs earlier, guys. Earlier, dude. Always heated debate over Lewis. It always happens, man. I'm so gassed. Like, let's go, Lewis. Great result. Ready to give him an 8. And then I see 9s and 10s in chat. It happens every week. It happens every week. 10-second undercut is crazy. 10-second undercut is crazy. Do you know how Monaco works? It's like Liam getting 9, to be fair. Give him a 1 to piss him off. Or just let me glaze Lewis. Okay, I'm gonna stick to what I think. I just feel like I have to extra explain myself for Lewis because because like facts just don't. I'm apparently just a hater, even though I apply the same fucking reasoning to everyone. Lewis in quali, I think the Ferrari should have done a better job in quali and been closer to Max and Antonelli. Yes, Lewis beat his teammate, which is good. And yes, they beat Hadjar, but I think they should have been closer to pole. I think they should have been fighting for pole, and I think they could have done better. At the end of the day, P3 is still good for Lewis. Then, in the race, obviously Lewis was lucky that Max broke down, and his pace to Kimi was decent on the first stint. But I think the second stint was terrible to the point where Leclerc caught 15 seconds. Oh, by the way, to the person in chat saying the undercut 10 seconds is insane. Leclerc literally caught 15 seconds on Lewis. It's not that insane. Second stint was poo. And then he obviously gave himself a pen as well. In the end, it didn't cost him anything, but still, he did get that pen. And then he finished at P2, which is a good result. It was a good weekend for Lewis. I don't think it was anything outstanding, though. I think it was more Leclerc being bumhole than Lewis being insane. Yeah. I'm going to go 8 for Lewis. I go 8. Lewis could have done exactly the same thing. If Leclerc doesn't crash, I'd give him a 7. Max for P3. True. So why should you get anything above an 8? Yeah, so that's what I mean, man. Lewis's pen would have cost Leclerc 5 seconds. Huh? Y'all, that donut shop actually has right about it. Okay, beating Leclerc at his best track. It wasn't an insane drive, just a normal race. 10 mins for nothing, similar to Piastri. 10 mins for nothing. No, but people are giving him 9s and 9s, bro. It's not a 9 weekend. How is being 2/10 off of pole in a pole-capable car, in my opinion, getting a penalty and finishing P2 because your teammate and Max crashed out at a 9? That's not a 9, man. That's not a 9. Let's relax. As Lewis fan, I really think he deserves a 7 or 8. He managed P2 because Max stalled and it's Monaco. Mercedes was half a second better on average. I gave him a 9, so it could be 44%. Fair. It is a 9. They double stacked Leclerc behind Lewis when he served the pen. I mean, again, that's more Lewis. That's more Leclerc being a Dumbo. Leclerc should have stayed out. Lewis gets a win and he still rate him 8 because he didn't get a 1 minute lead for a run. No, bro. No. Majority of you guys saying a 9. It's the same thing every week. Lewis has a good weekend, and you guys always rate him 1 point higher than he should be. Anyways, I'm giving Lewis an 8. I could even argue that's even too high for Lewis, but he got the job done. 8 for Lewis. Which means we have an easy conversation to end this one off. Last and definitely not least, we've got Kimi and Antonelli. Get your votes in on the poll. We don't even need to talk about it. Just straight rating him a 10. What an absolutely insane weekend. Kimi, in qualifying, qualified in pole. Beating the Ferraris by 2/10, which, again, like I said, they should have been in the fight. So clearing them by 2/10 is insane. Beating Max Verstappen, who pulled a great lap out of his ass. And putting the car that I don't even think should have been a clear favorite for pole on pole was amazing. Kimi was so locked in. Most importantly, though, out-qualifying his teammate by 4/10. Then, in the race, did exactly what he needed to do. Didn't get overtaken off the start. Kept it clean. Drove off into the distance. Great margin. Pulled a good enough margin to the fact that Ferrari couldn't do any undercut or overcut strat on him. Again, Lewis's undercut pace sucked, and Leclerc's first stint wasn't quick enough to... Leclerc's first stint was poo enough, wasn't good enough to overcut. So he ended up getting Grand Slam in the end. No penalties. Kept it clean on the restart as well. Literally did nothing wrong. Pace was insane. Like, the cleanest driver of the weekend, the best pace of the weekend, and one of the drivers who beat his teammate by the most this weekend. Lapped his fucking teammate. Like, honestly, like, if there was an 11, it would be 11. If I could give 11, it would be 11. Like, this weekend was so good from Kimi. And it's the first weekend where my mindset on Kimi has changed. Like, it has changed from, like, oh, like he's a good driver, he's got a bit lucky here, like, oh, Russell's doing bad. Like this was Kimi's best weekend by far. Perfect, absolutely annihilated. Like this is the definition of a 10 weekend. Yeah, it's so fucking good to see. Yeah, what do you guys say? Easiest 10 of my life. Anyone below 10 is mental. Youngest Grand Slam ever. How will you say we glazed Kimi this week? You can't. He did absolutely amazing leading the whole race. He should have got pole by a bigger margin. No, I don't think so. I think he already did a good enough job to be 2/10 out of the Ferraris. Race pace off half a second a lap is insane. He's now matched Lewis's most wins in a row. Crazy because he's 3 years younger than Lewis was when he joined F1. Yeah, Bro was setting fastest laps for fun on each tire. Bono was literally begging him to stop doing fastest laps. Yeah. Bono gave Kimi a 10. I did. Is this the first 10 I've given him? Probably. Kirk, thank you for the follow. Skudoosh, thank you for the follow as well. And there's majority of you guys saying 10 as well. Nice. Well, guys, that is it for the driver ratings. Thank you for tuning on in. That was fun. It was fun, but it was hard. It's so hard to do a Grand Prix like that. First off, Monaco is really hard to rate, and you have to be really strict on ratings for qualifying. But then also the bullshit with the pens, the crashing, like, is it luck? Is it putting yourself in a position to benefit off luck? It's so hard, man. It's so hard. Also, like, you got teams like Audi doing so good in practice and then nowhere in qualifying. Is that the driver's fault, or is that where they're meant to be? Yeah, it's hard to tell. Anyways, guys, that is it for driver ratings. Thank you all for tuning on in. If you're watching on YouTube right now, we're going to end the stream there. We're going to stay live on Twitch for a little bit longer, so come join us, twitch.tv/Ponden. But if you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe down below. Be sure to like if you haven't already. But yeah, YouTube, I'll see you guys next time. We'll be doing driver ratings next Tuesday, actually, after the Barcelona Grand Prix. Bye-bye.